Thank you, Mr. Speaker and colleagues. I rise in strong support of AB 1024 that many of us like to call the State Bar Dream Act. I want to thank Assemblymember Gonzalez for addressing this very important issue that has been pending for over a year now. Last year, I authored ACR 167 that made a statement on behalf of the California legislature as the petition was being considered by the California Supreme Court, and this body and the state Senate approved it overwhelmingly in support of Sergio Garcia's case. The Latino Legislative Caucus also filed an amicus curiae brief, a friend of the court brief with the California Supreme Court regarding this pending case. We made a statement loud and clear that immigration status should not be a determining factor in deciding whether to grant a law license in California to an undocumented student. California has had a long history of protecting the rights of undocumented students and also a history of inclusion. For example, when Prop 187, nearly 20 years ago, was enacted to deny undocumented children to receive a free public education, it was a California federal court that held that the proposition was in direct conflict with constitutional law. In 2005, California passed legislation permitting foreign non-citizens to take the state bar exam and apply for admission. And just last year, we passed 2 years ago, we passed the California Dream Act to allow youth without proper documentation to apply and qualify for Cal Grants in our state. California has been clearly moving towards a policy of inclusion rather than exclusion of undocumented immigrants brought into this country by their parents as children. It is our job as leaders of the state legislature to remember that history and to continue moving forward on a policy of inclusion. I certainly ask for your support on this bill, but federal law is very clear. And what we're talking about is the federal law is the Personal Responsibility and Work Opportunity Reconciliation Act. It specifically says that we can grant this public benefit of granting a law license to a law student if, by enactment of state law, we approve affirmatively providing for such eligibility. Last Wednesday at the California Supreme Court, numerous justices invited the legislature that we can grant this benefit as long as we act affirmatively through legislation. So here is that moment in history. But lastly, members, I want to just talk about a remarkable story of a young man named Sergio Garcia, because I think it's a true American immigrant story, a story about resilience, a story about perseverance, a young man whose parents were migrant farm workers just north of Chico and couldn't qualify for financial aid to go to college, but somehow, remarkably, was able to work to get through Chico State University and got his BA. Couldn't qualify for financial aid, so he couldn't go to a more expensive law school, but he went to a small law school in Chico and passed the bar exam on the first try. And anyone knows California's bar exam is the most rigorous in the country. Only about 50% pass on the first time, and Sergio accomplished that great victory. But he also went through a background check and was deemed to have good moral character, a very rigorous background check in his case, and he was deemed fit to get his law license. But this is now his fourth year without being able to be sworn in as an attorney, despite meeting all the requirements. And state law requires that if you do not get sworn in as an attorney 5 years after passing your bar exam, you have to retake that exam. That's why this issue is a pressing one for us and for Sergio. And lastly, I want to make the record very clear. He is applying for his legal papers, his immigration papers. He's been waiting for about 14 years, but they say he might be eligible to finally get his visa come 2019. So he's done everything that we've asked him to do. He has earned it. He has earned his law license. And I want to really commend my Republican colleagues, all three Republican members of the Assembly Judiciary Committee just a few minutes ago voted in support of this bill. That doesn't often happen on these types of bills here in Sacramento. I want to commend my Republican colleagues for doing the right thing and supporting this. I ask for your bipartisan support in favor of this bill.